Hello there, my name is Ann Hamlin. I'm the Public Library Services Consultant for Wisconsin Valley Library Service. And in today's Digital Byte, we're going to be talking about 5 ways to improve your website immediately. I'm going to say that again, 5 ways to improve your website immediately. So first, you're going to get through the basics to make your website up to date and looking good, and then it'll give you time to dig into the design and deeper aspects. So our first of 5 tips is to make sure the content on your website is updated, right? If somebody clicks onto your website and there's a promotion for a 2017 event and it's 2018, chances are they'll think, oh, everything on this website is out of date, and they'll click away. You have to keep in mind that many website users spend seconds on your web page, and if you don't capture their attention, they're gone, right? So first out of 5 tips is updating your content. And if it's hard for you to remember, I really suggest using a Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar or a physical calendar reminder, maybe every month or every 2 months, for you to go through the pages on your website and update the content. Now, if we follow through the other tips here, you'll see that it'll get easier as you fix your content to your needs. So our first tip is to update your content, or have a staff member or a public library user look at your content for you if you don't have time. Next, using the Osceola Public Library website here, it's important for you to use original photography or real images. There's something about humans that we have this natural talent in picking out stock photos, right? We're more attached to real photos than we are stock photos. The Osceola Public Library website that's in development has a good mix of real photos and stock images, right? You can see embedded behind their search box area, you can see real pictures from their library with a nice overlaid color. So, it brings the local flavor to their website, so regular library visitors understand that yes, they're in the right place. This is the website they want to be using. Additionally, I encourage all libraries to use original photography in their marketing materials. So this picture of a baby, we kind of all naturally know that is not a photography that was created from the librarians, right? And then as you move down the page, you can see which ones are stock photos. Just to give another example here, real photos or real photography can be a great replacement for a logo. Now you can see the Osceola Public Library has a logo, but they weren't satisfied with it, so we embedded some original photography. Some other good examples of libraries without logos are the Rhinelander District Library and also Western Taylor County Public Library, or Gilman. So starting with Rhinelander District Library, they used original photography of their mascot, their town mascot, the hodag, outside of the public library. So chances are, if you live in that town, you've driven by the library and you've seen that statue. It's one of a couple statues in town that are kind of landmarks, and also the library sign in the background. So until they have a logo, or maybe this is the way they want to go, they'll use this original photography to ground the website audience in the location of the Rhinelander District Library. I mentioned Gilman or Western Taylor County Public Library, the same thing. They have an iconic building, so we pieced together a few of the building images, and you can also see that on many about pages. So one iconic aspect of the Western Taylor County Public Library used to be the yellow drop box, so that's included in their lovely establishing shot, as I like to refer to it as. Also, if you don't have too many things to put in your slider announcements, it's a good thing to put in as a slide, or it's a good thing to put original photography of the location just as a slide in there. It again grounds the audience in, okay, yes, this is the website I wanted to be at, and it brings that local flavor again back in there. So the first tip was to update content. So going through every single page to make sure your content is up to date, and using real images. Both because we naturally know what is a stock photo and what is not, and we prefer real images, and also as a substitute for poor logos or no logos. So our third tip is, I call it buttons or clicks. It's very important to have buttons or clicks on your website to what your users want. So just looking at all of these example websites here, you can tell that one of the top reasons people go to your website is to find a book or a movie or a library item that they want to put a hold on or a request on. So every website should have a search box. That's a given. Or a catalog search, right? Other websites put an additional button to search the library catalog in the menu, as you can see here. Catalog, and you can tell that they put it in. Your website should feature your library catalog in prominent locations. So just for extra tidbit here, the general website accessor or user focuses on the top left corner of the page and scans to the right and scans down. So you don't want to have any of your buttons or links in the lower right area as a general rule of thumb if you want them to see it at first glance. Taking a look across the menu, you want to use search terms or search terms that relate directly to what people want. So everybody wants to see an event calendar, have it there. Everybody wants to see the catalog, have it there. Everybody wants to know about the library. So what's the phone number? Put an about the library spot there. As you scroll down the page, you want to have buttons or clickable icons to bring them to the service that they came to your website for. So an example here is Meet Libby. Everybody wants to know about the digital library and how to get the app. That should be on your homepage. At the bottom of the page, here's social media icons. Those are just handy to let people know, hey, you can get us on these other platforms. You can reach us on these other platforms. And of course, it's important to have very important information located in multiple places. So everybody wants to know your phone number, your address, and your hours. So that should be on every single page at the bottom of your page, and also on your About the Library page. And if you can squeeze it in, maybe at the top of your page with your hours, right? They want to know what time you're open. So in addition to talking about the digital library, there should be a services page that contains links to Overdrive, Ancestry, Badger Link, the digital library, any extra service that you have. So looking at Gilman, it has Consumer Reports, Hobbies and Crafts, Library Learning Express Library. So paid for extra services, right? You want to have buttons directly to those services instead of having a button to a list of resources that you then have to click through. Making it as easy as possible with as few clicks as possible for your website users is very important to keeping their attention and making it their experience easy. So our first point was updating your content. Using real images was our second point. Our third point was adding buttons or clickable links to get to the content that people want. Our fourth tip is using bullet points or very few words on your website. You don't want to use any more than 500 to 600 words on any page, okay? Usually that's like a paragraph and a half or 2 paragraphs. Okay, probably 2 paragraphs these days. But the point is, people aren't going to want to read a big paragraph on your website. So break it into bullet points. Break it into the points that really speak to them. Use headers. And what I'm talking about when I say headers is use these title sizes or these headers to tell them what's on your page. People want to know who donated for a building project. So bang, bang, 2 bullet points. You don't want to have a paragraph describing that. And if you feel like you need to have more information about something, please link it or link a document that has more information there. A good example on the Rhinelander District homepage is towards the bottom. right above the new book carousel, they have a full list of titles, right? So here is all this packed information in text form, and it's still accessible in an intuitive place where people might want to know more information about new titles. But again, it's not text that's cluttering up your page, and it's not forcing every single user to weed through for the information they want. So cut down on your text, right? Use bullet points to simplify things. Our fifth way to improve your website immediately is to test everything. Test everything on your website. Test anything clickable. So Rhinelander's going to want to go through and click every icon. Click every book, because we know that if we click on one book, it'll bring us to the catalog search results so I can place a hold on the item. Make sure you do that for every single clickable icon. Art school, school of the arts information. I bet that's going to take me, yep, so it took me to a website. Check every single link. If there's a broken link or outdated content with a broken link, that's just another trigger for sending someone off of your website. They think your website is old, so they're going to take off, right? So check links, buttons, forms. So an example of a form is on the Contact Us page. Many libraries have a contact form here. This one says contact the Rhinelander District Library. Put your own name and your email in there and hit submit. See how it works, if it's a nice experience for you. And make sure the place that is supposed to receive that email actually receives that email. There's nothing worse than a broken service on your website. Okay? Yeah, I want to stress again, if there's a dead link anywhere, people are going to take off. They wanted that information, you didn't have it, so you provided subpar service for that person's needs. They don't want to waste their time. So, thank you for spending time with me today. Our 5 tips for improving your website immediately are: update your content on each page. Look through each page and update all the language that you use. Our second tip is to use real images or photography and avoid stock images where possible. And if you do have to use stock images, use great stock images. Our third tip is please add buttons or hyperlinks or ways to click to what people want right away off of your website. You want to have links to databases. So here's an example of a link directly to BadgerLink. Here's an example of a link directly to the digital library. Here's an example of a link or a button directly to the library's building project information. Here's a menu link to the catalog if they don't want to bother with the searchable box up at top here. You want to have ease of access, right? And plus, if you don't list what databases you have, and people might not know they exist. If you send them to a list of resources, they're going to be overwhelmed and say, bah, I can't spend the time on looking for what I need. Our fourth tip was to use bullet points and shorten your text on every single page. Use bullet points here. Use very simplified language. If they want to know more, they'll call you or use your contact form. And our fifth and final point or tip or way to improve your website immediately is to test every link, form, button. Make sure every image downloads. Just make sure all of your content is current and workable to retain your audience. I hope this digital bite gets you on your way to having an improved website immediately, and please contact myself if you have more information.